What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I know I just showing some of the car, but man, this car looks so good. I washed her last weekend, and she looks so good. This car looks so good. Today, we're in the Supra, as you can obviously tell. We're not doing any S2000 stuff because the S2000 is still off at CBH Auto Body. We're just gonna jump right into it. Today I'm going to show you guys how to code certain features on or off on the Supra. I've already done a few of them, but I'm going to kind of show you guys how to do it again. You can do things like remove the warning chimes or the warnings that come up when you start the car. I think default, there's like the one where it says like, hey, don't use this while driving or something. So I disabled that because honestly, I don't need to see that every single time I start the car. Some people have also done other things like disabling the downward angle of the passenger side mirror whenever you go into reverse. I'm gonna show you guys how to do some of the ones that I decided to do. Of course, there's a lot more, but just to give you guys a general idea. So there's just two things that you're gonna need. First, you're going to need a phone. So this is just done on your smartphone. So you basically are gonna be downloading the Bimmercode app. Now it's not free. So this app is about $30 or so. So it's not too expensive. In the App Store, whether it's the Play Store for your Android or the App Store for iOS, it's like 30 bucks. The second thing you're gonna need is a Bluetooth OBD2 controller or reader. So I went with the V-Peak. This was also like $25 on Amazon. If you actually go to the Bimmercode website, they will actually give you a list of all the compatible OBD2 readers that are out there. So just choose them from the list that's within your price point. In total, I spent like $55 on both of this, and I can code my car as many times as I want. Let's get into it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to turn on the car and put it into diagnostic mode. So to do that, you actually just triple tap your start button, and obviously do not hold the brake because I'll just turn on the car. So you see where it says diagnostic mode active. Cool. So the next thing we're gonna do is, we're gonna take our V-Peak OBD2 reader, take it out, and put it in. OBD2 port, I'm gonna open the door for this because I'm just too tall. Is right down here. You should be able to just feel it. Cool. So it's in. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take your phone. Now, very, very important, I'm putting this into airplane mode. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I don't wanna get a phone call while I am coding, because that will be really, really bad. So I'm gonna film this here while I show you guys on my phone. But anyways, you're gonna open up the Bimmercode app. So once you open up the Bimmercode app, you'll see the connect. Once you've plugged in your OBD2 scanner, just tap connect. That should connect it directly to the app. Make sure Bluetooth is on, obviously. So you're gonna select your vehicle. Now, funny enough, because this is, worked with BMW, they have all the other BMW stuff on here. This is iDrive, this is BMW, so that's why we use Bimmercode. But if you scroll all the way down, you will see a Toyota Supra. So go ahead and tap that, select that, and then tap continue. Now that we're in the Toyota Supra menu, we can do a lot of things here. Now, generally speaking, I only really like to do stuff with the head unit because I don't really want to mess with too much other stuff. But you can do a bunch of things like setting the brightness on the head unit, setting your mirrors to slant, a certain way, setting your door chimes to be a little bit different. The first thing that I feel is so important is for the ASD, the active sound design. So for active sound design, if you tap that and you go into it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna see active sound design deactivation. Now, if you turn this off, this means that no more fake engine noise is going to be pumped into the car when you're driving. And personally for me, I find that to be so good. Like, I don't want any engine noise, right? Because it's fake, it doesn't sound very good, it tends to drone at highway speeds. I'm just not a fan of it. It's really, really loud, so I just don't want it, right? So if you tap that, if you go ahead and just tap deactivated, once that is checked, go back one screen, and then you're gonna tap code in the top right-hand corner. Obviously, I've already done this, so I don't need to do it again, but essentially, once you tap code, it'll reset everything. You might see your head unit turn off and all that. So the second thing that for me, that I really wanted to do is I really wanted to increase the brightness of the head unit. Now, the head unit in general is just pretty dim, and it works on an active light sensor, but for whatever reason it seems like that light sensor is in the dash and not like where it would detect actual light. So for me, like, I find it to be pretty dim. I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera. This is the brightness, this is the default brightness that I have found for my Supra on a day-to-day. Now here, it's not terrible, but to be perfectly honest, when I'm driving and if there's glare that's coming in from like the passenger side, it can get pretty annoying. And I've definitely found that it just, for whatever reason, it's just not bright enough, and there are definitely times where I've been like turning or trying to back up and there's just glare on the screen. It's terrible. So in order to fix this, what you're gonna do is you're going to go into head unit. Once you are in head unit, and this part, like, be careful of this part because there's a lot more variables here, and it's not quite as straightforward as like active sound design. Okay, now that we are in the bottom left-hand corner, you will see expert mode. So we're gonna be tapping expert mode, and yes, this is technically a risk because we're now getting into like the actual programming of the head unit itself. Tap continue. We're going to basically select 3005 display pip config because we're going to be actively changing the display and how it works, and we're going to be scrolling all the way down till we see dim variant. So we're going to tap on dim variant, and we're going to be switching it. It should default on new, and we want to switch it to old. What this probably means is that at some point for iDrive 6, they had the old version which allowed you to change the display and set it to the brightness that you wanted to, and then the new version of iDrive in this software, there's, you know, it's probably like using the ambient light sensor and all that stuff, which makes sense because on my iPhone 12 there is no way, at least in the settings, to turn off my ambient light sensor like there was in the previous iPhones. It's just always on. Sure, I can set my brightness, but for the most part it's like it's always active, right? Same thing with the iDrive thing here. The brightness, while you can kind of set it, it's for the most part ambient light sensor is always active. I don't want that. I want to just max brightness all the time. It's not like I'm draining battery. So we're gonna set it to old. We're gonna go back 2 pages, and then again we're gonna tap code in the top right hand corner. This will reset your head unit. You know, definitely keep an eye on that. It's gonna restart and everything like that. Once it restarts, you won't notice a difference until you have to go to My Vehicle, you go to System Settings, and then you go to Displays, and then in Control Display, because this is the control display, you see brightness now is set very differently. So now we can select it and turn brightness all the way up. So do you see that big brightness boost? So it was originally set here. This is that default, which is too dark. Turn it all the way up. So once that's up, we're good. We are good on that display. That is nice and bright. I probably won't have any more glare issues. I'm really happy about that. I literally just, to be honest, I made that change a second ago before showing you guys because I wanted to see if it actually worked. I didn't want to basically do this on camera and it not to work, so. Yeah, and I didn't want to decode it because, you know, it's been coded. So yeah, once that is done, there's a few more things that we can code. So things like, if we go back into head unit, I find, again, head unit is probably like the best one. Okay, so one more thing that I personally really like, if I scroll all the way down and I go to warnings, now this warning, like, I don't like all these warnings, right? So when you do the backup camera, it's like, hey, like, make sure you're keeping an eye on your surroundings. Like, well, duh. Or things like when you're starting up, there's that warning where it says, hey, don't use this when you're driving. Duh. I don't need to read that every single time I back up or every single time I start up the car. So I'm turning those off. So under warnings at startup, again, just like the active sound design, make sure not active is checked and then go back and then you can code it. Camera warning, same thing. Checking it, go back, you can code it. And then there's a bunch of other stuff as well, right? You can actually have a different start animation, which I think is really cool. I actually haven't done this yet. So, you know, let's check one out. So we do have M, we have Rolls Royce, we have Mini. Unassigned value, I assume, is the Supra. So I think this will be kind of funny that, like, when I start up the car, it's gonna say like M or Alpina. Alpina is kind of cool, right? But let's check one out. So let's select M. Why not? Go back, and then we're gonna code. Start coding. So now, while that's coding, head unit turned off. I'm curious if it will show as soon as it turns back on. All right, it's done coding, restarting. Oh, there we go. There's the M. So it doesn't say Supra anymore, it says M. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I'm not gonna keep it because honestly, I like the Supra startup animation personally. Okay, so in order to go back, because honestly, we can't go back to unassigned values, it's not on the list anymore. We have to use a backup. Now, every single time you code something, it creates a backup of it, right? So we just did that coding part, so we're gonna back up to a previous save essentially, and it's just gonna code away the M startup. It's generally recommended that, you know, you make sure you know exactly what you want to code, or, you know, for those of you who are, let's say, a little bit more weary about each individual step, you know, code each individual thing one at a time, because each time you code, it creates that backup of right before you did that code, which is pretty nice. So that's how you revert. In order to revert, you're going to want to select backups, and then you revert to a previous backup, and that is the state that the ECU or the car is in before you did that coding. But that's basically it. There's a lot of other things you can do. You can change the ringtones. You can change the warning chimes, which is pretty cool. You know, there's the BMW. You know what? Let's do that. I want to change the warning chime. I'm gonna do BMW I. I don't know what it sounds like. It could sound really stupid, but we'll see. We'll see. Now this technically should be the warning chimes that you get on like the BMW i8 or the i3. So I'm kind of hoping they're cool. I've actually never heard them before, so we'll see. I don't actually know how I would even, maybe if I open the door or something. Okay, yeah, do I just open the door? I don't know. Okay, I don't know how to get the warning chimes to go off. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of how to code your BMW or your Supra. You can follow along for both. I use the exact same stuff for my M2 competition. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I know this is a little bit of Supra content. The S2000 is at the paint shop still. Hopefully it'll be done by next week. If it is, then I'm gonna be heading it over to Elite Performance in Burlingame. We're gonna be doing the install there, and then I'm also going to be installing some differential mounts as well as axle spacers at the same time. I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. See you guys on the next one.